Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but first, a rant and usual disclaimers. Fuck, it's cold. I know, I'm probably going to say this every morning, probably till next spring, but for the love of God. Send help. Send an elliptical. Send something. All right, folks. There. There's a reason people like me and basically the entirety of the goddamn autistic community doesn't trust the damn media. And I do mean we really don't trust the media. There's a really reason why many of us were already thinking before we saw the evidence that JD was more than likely innocent, but as most of us do, still wanted to weigh the evidence first. Let's show you why. Okay? Just for those idiots in the back who want to sit there and tell me the courts never get it wrong. But the news says. Let me give you a little history, shall we? Just a little lesson, and yes, this is related to the JRC. Let me show you this garbage. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I'm just going to give you the title. And remember, folks, I do not have an edit button, so sorry about that. So to all those morons who wanted to say, but the UK said, yeah. Some education this morning, okay? You have seen and listened to me talk what happened to Andre McCollins. You've heard testimonies from Jennifer Masumba and other survivors who have come forward. Now let's get into the media, shall we? Okay. See this here? It's from the Sun Chronicle. You remember the Sun, don't you? You know the one, he is a wife beater. They also have such riveting titles as this. In shock treatments, or should we? Right? This was written in 2020, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, folks. Why are we trusting a magazine who actually is sympathetic towards the torture of neurodiverse and disabled people and people with mental health issues? Why are we trusting a media that has, in some cases, labeled people like me unfeeling monsters who must be controlled? See, most of the slurs thrown at Deb is not new to any of us in the neurodiverse community. They're old, decades old. And I hate to say it, but we've heard a lot of shit that at some point in time, it's getting to the point where we've heard it all. Look at this, television view. A few scary pictures can go a long way. You fucking wonder why we don't trust the media. You see my point, right? But people who defend that stupid, neurotypical, abusive, narcissistic psychopath by the name of AH want to tote the media as showing, but it's pure truth. On the behalf of the disabled community, can I come forward and tell you it's slanderous bullshit. It's complete garbage. I could get more worth in news from the toilet paper roll in my back bathroom, okay? So why do we continue to share those links like that proves everything, and then you feel like you can walk off like a boss? You can't. Okay? You're talking about individuals who condone when people murder people like me. You have people coming out on the news. We must be sympathetic towards the mother who murdered her own damn child. These children are so difficult. Yeah. I would say that it's only really the younger ones who, and I hope they never do, but God forbid, but they're not quite as jaded as some of us older autistics are, who've been called everything in the book. Okay? I am never going to trust the bastards who say that people like me need to be controlled at all costs, even if it ends in my death. Okay? I'm never going to trust those bastards. I haven't trusted those bastards since 2012 when that video of Andre McCollins went viral and you had some pundits wondering, but maybe that's what has to be done. Who wouldn't even do their due diligence and fucking research to learn what other programs are out there. Nor were they willing to do the work to do an actual deep dive. I'm not a journalist, folks. I do not have a journalism degree. That is not what I went to school for. Yet I am doing a deep dive on these bastards that a lot of news folks wouldn't even try to do. So, yeah, I distrusted the media long before the JD versus AH case. And if you were smart, you would too. These are the same people who like to peddle every year about how we're burdens on society. Great, right? So please, take your news articles and shove them up your ass. Okay? I am hardly going to go to them as my way of weighing facts. Now, what I do, and most autistics my age for my particular generation do, we go digging. I'm not talking about through news articles either. We're talking, we go digging for receipts. Autistic Hoya's massive archive, Miss Linda Brown, she went deep diving. In fact, she did one of the most spectacular deep dives I've ever come across. Okay? But journalists can't do the same, but you're going to take their word as gospel. All right, whatever you say, Karen. This is why many of us go to YouTube as opposed to depending on the media, which has done nothing but slander us and paint us as monsters at worst, uncontrollable, and must be controlled by any means possible, at least. We're used for people to make money off our backs. And the media fuels it. Okay? Alright. Just wanted to get that out there because I am so tired of this shit. I can't see straight. These are not the days of William Cronkite, when investigative journalism was actually still alive. These are news reports conjured from fucking Twitter threads from people who don't know their fucking mouth from their asshole. Alright? This is lazy, it's bad writing, and people don't even use proper damn grammar anymore when they write articles. Their run-on sentences are atrocious. They would have failed miserably. They tried to pass these articles off in high school English. At least it would have been failed if they went to my school. In the description box, folks, you're going to see the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It is written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to Judge Rotenberg Center's quote-unquote behavioral modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so bad they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from their website. NeuroClastic has refused. So you know the drill, folks. Please read that article and share on all your social media. We also have linked in their NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks. Remember, small non-for-profit. They barely bring in $10,000 a year. We want to make sure they're covered, just in case the JRC wants to see through with their threat. We also got the pertinent links to the Agape boarding school situation. Agape boarding school is a Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri, that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 substantiated claims, allegations, and civil lawsuits leveled against it, with allegations including sodomy, sexual assault and rape, child physical abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, and starvation, and I'm pretty sure that's just the surface. We've got one staff member that was arrested by the FBI, another, a doctor who's still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple substantiated claims by the investigations done by the Missouri Department of Social Services, multiple counts of sodomy, sexual assault, and rape of the students there. We have Eric Schmidt, who's failed spectacularly, and in spite of his massive failure in the public eye, it was not made known public widely. So he is going to Washington to go fail all over the place. I hope they eat him alive. We have a governor also so far up Trump's ass he doesn't know his mouth from his asshole, who now has full control of the fucking National Guard. Send goddamn help. Send help. There's some miracle I can get out of here ever. Like, pray, send good vibes, light a stick in incense, whatever you do, please do so. I need out. Ugh. So folks, please share these articles on all your social media. Don't forget to share and sign the change.org Shut the Agape Boarding School Down petition. This state is basically ran in its entirety by the Christian megachurches conglomerate out here, particularly out here in the Southwest, where they basically have a stranglehold and have all the wealth and all the control. We have to work around these bastards. So please, send help. We also got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet, the clip of the piece of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Trigger warning, we are about to talk about the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind. Again, thank you, Gene Wilder. This is Matthew Israel. He's going to gaslight us. He's going to victim blame. He's going to blow smoke up our ass. He's going to be an ableist piece of human excrement. Okay? He's going to try to convince you by worst case scenarios, infantilizing us, and just making us look like out of control, batshit insane maniacs so he can get a fucking free pass to torture us to his heart's content. So, just know that's going to happen, alright? This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we talk about dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger, parental supervision is advised. All right, folks, it is 4:45 a.m. in the morning. I already started reading the next bunch of bullshit we're getting ready to read. So, just be prepared for that, all right? All right. Where we left off yesterday. The following letter, which was written by the parents of a student who had detached both of her retinas through self-abusive head poking, is illustrative of the flavor of such problems. The letter, which was sent to legislators who were considering a proposed bill in the Massachusetts legislature to ban the use of aversives, is as follows. And we're not going to read it. And I'm going to tell you why we're not going to read it. Because he's going to use this one token incident as a means and a way to saying his way is the only way to stop that behavior and save the children. Won't anyone think of the children, right? Simpsons, you remember that. If you're my age, you do. We're not going to read it because he's going to present a scenario that is going to lull you into thinking that it is okay to torture us and only in order to save us from ourselves. Sounds like the reasoning of an abuser, doesn't it? Yeah, you're doing it for our own good, right, doctor? Fact of the matter is, folks, Dr. Israel is doing this because he can. He uses these scenarios as a means and a way to get the media on his side. And if you take a look at what we just looked at this morning, he didn't entirely fail now, did he? I refuse to read something that is going to paint people like me as complete lunatics with no cause or reason for why we do what we do. The fact of the matter is, there are extremely logical reasons as to how we get into those extreme states that nobody ever wants to talk about. There is an issue when you are too focused on the problem that you refuse to do what you need to do to get to what is causing that problem. Torturing someone into compliance is not an answer because the issue still lies buried and undealt with. You're just introducing drama on top of the problem. People like Matthew Israel don't seem to understand or get that the answer to extreme self-injurious behavior should not be to harm us further. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to harm us further than what we've already done to ourselves. What makes sense is to find out what's causing these extreme behaviors. They do not come out of nowhere. How many times have I said before, behavior is communication, particularly for those of us who are nonverbal in a world that refuses to provide reasonable accommodations and assistive devices so that we are able to communicate what's wrong. Okay? Let's move on because I fucking refuse to read this garbage letter with parents who drank the Kool-Aid and think the answer is to further harm their child. Because ruling is fear is better than the alternative, according to them. It's not. Getting what you want at our expense is not an answer. Can I say that for the idiots in the back? Causing further harm to us to get you what you want at our expense, our sense of self-worth, our human rights, our dignity as human beings is not on the table. And if you are a parent and you think that this is okay to strip us of everything that makes us human beings because you want to get your result, you do not deserve to have kids in the first goddamn place. So please give that child who's somebody who does give a damn and will do right by them. And this letter goes on, and this is why we're avoiding it. Now, here's where they're going to gaslight us again. We're going to read this paragraph, and I'm going to dissect it and tell you why it's bullshit. Prior to coming to JRC, all forms of counseling, drugs, and positive-only behavioral supports have been tried with these children and young adults with no meaningful effect. Lie. That's a lie. We've gone over this ad nauseum, doctor. You have not tried everything. You want to know how I know? Your own damn words. You don't even know what positive behavioral reinforcement is, let alone actually utilize it. You used some bastardized version, an infantilizing version, where you get a token and get to spend 15 minutes in the ballroom when you're fucking 21. Yay! Pizza parties when you're a fucking teen. Seriously? Seriously? That's not trying everything. But they've tried all forms of counseling, have you? Have you, though? What is counseling, folks? What is therapy? It is to uncover and explore the root issues that are producing a particular behavior, feeling, or emotional issues. What is ABA? ABA is teaching us to mask those issues, not address them. They have not tried all forms of counseling. If they had, we wouldn't be here. Drugs and positive behavioral supports, again, no you didn't. That's a lie. When you're dealing with an individual who thinks person-centered planning is a philosophy and untried in 2010, when by that time I had already been a part of steamrolling it 2 years prior to be used statewide on our adult consumers, and trying to tell me that there was no data. Dude, do you have any idea about the pages and pages and pages? Like, the stack was this fucking big, folks. I could barely see my desk for days. Data, stats, testimonials coming from all over the United States in regards to person-centered planning. But Dr. Israel wants to tell you it's untried, there is no data, and it's unproven. And then, after he says that, he then gives you the data that it's 60% effective. Again, I will say what I said yesterday. No shit, Sherlock. There is no particular plan that is going to work for 100% of us. It doesn't exist because the disability is different and it affects each individual differently. Our issues with the varying things that come from our diagnosis is different. So, of course, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. There is no insta-fix. If anyone tells you that there is, drop them immediately. People, Matthew, Israel, people like them, they want to sell you the quick fix. It doesn't exist. There is no easy fix. It's work. It's lifelong. It's working, finding, experimenting. Not like this shit, mind you. I'm talking like experimenting with different types of therapies or assistive devices and things of that nature as to what's going to work best for you. For him to sit there with his whole chest and tell you it has no meaningful effect, when in fact, not everything has been tried. The only thing that has been tried is ABA, and of course it failed in these scenarios because autism is not a behavioral disorder. Other developmental disabilities, not behavioral disorders, they're neurological. The soon as we can wrap our brains around this concept, we can move on and start advancing in medicine and treatment for these diagnoses. But first, we gotta get these medical bastards to understand this. Now let's move on to more gaslighting bullshit, shall we? These children were too sick and too dangerous to be accepted by most residential schools. Here we go. We're going to victim blame. We're the worst of the worst, folks. I'm a complete goddamn unfeeling psychopath. I will cut your throat as soon as look at you. That's what they want you to believe about us. They're feeding into that media fear. That media fear that they feed you every goddamn April, they're feeding into it. They want you to believe that we are completely batshit out of control. We're dangerous. We're going to hurt you and hurt others. We're going to hurt ourselves. It's bullshit. Complete bullshit. It is an excuse that they use so that you'll just leave us in his care because he knows best. He specializes in these children. No, you don't. You specialize in torture tactics, doctor. I'm sure back in the Middle Ages you would have got yourself a cushy job with the fucking Inquisition. You would have fit right in. It's garbage, folks. But let's play devil's advocate here, shall we? As we do so every so often, right? Let's play devil's advocate here. And I'll just use myself for an example. Say I'm the most batshit insane, violent person you ever met. Frothing at the mouth, flinging shit out of my ass into your face. Streaking up and down the street naked with a fucking katana and just like slicing people this way and that way. Batshit insane. My mind is that far gone. What is torture going to do? Why does nobody ask this question? If I'm so far gone in insane behavior, if I'm just nothing more than a monster, you really think torture is going to change that? Nah, it's not. It's not, folks. Because guess what? You can't torture someone into being what you want them to be. That is utopian nonsense. It's pseudoscience at its fucking worst. It is a complete detachment from what is reality. Okay? Let's move on. In many cases, schools that did accept them later expelled them when their behaviors proved to be too severe to respond to the treatment procedures the school employed. Let's talk about what they employ. What have I told you? ABA. ABA without the torture, mind you, but ABA. And why does ABA not work? Because they're treating us for something we do not have. Okay? That is the worst thing about autistic treatment and disabilities in general. It's cookie cutter. It's treating us for parts of our diagnosis that we don't even exhibit. It's treating this as a psychological disorder for something that is a neurological disorder. Even on the face of it, it makes no sense. The behaviors, again, are, for lack of a better term, symptoms, not the cause. Can I say that again? They're symptoms, not cause. That's why ABA doesn't work. You cannot brainwash me into being neurotypical. All you're going to do is teach me how to mask. And we all know, because we've gone over it ad nauseum, the psychological damage that is done because prolonged masking, the self-loathing, the depression, the isolation, the fucking loneliness. These things are killers, folks. There's a reason not many of us make it to C40. Okay? Let's move on. In one case, a well-regarded school, New England Center for Children, that used positive-only procedures, did not use aversives, admitted in discharge document one of its students that its only positive procedures were inadequate to treat the individual's behavior successfully, and the child needed adverse procedures instead. Okay, that is complete garbage. I'm going to tell you why. Let's talk about these schools, what they know and what they don't know. What they don't know far outweighs what they do. These schools are not fucking trained properly. They don't know what else is out there, okay? But they used positive only and it didn't work, so they sent them to us because that's what the child needed. They need to be tortured into traumatized compliance. It's garbage, folks. It's complete ignorant garbage. These teachers are not fucking trained to know what other programs are out there, especially on the fucking East Coast. They're not quite as progressive as they want you to believe out there. I say this as someone who has folks that live out there, okay? My dad's family, they're not as progressive as you think they are. Even the schools that specialize in disabilities don't always know everything that's out there. That's why in my state, they would hire me as a fucking token autistic to act as an advisory individual. You want to know why Rivendell is one of the best schools in the fucking nation when it comes to autistic kids? Because they listened to the advocates. We can tell you what those programs are. We've studied them ad nauseum. Ad nauseum. There is a reason why my state, even though it's ran by the clown circus these days, did their pilot program that put advocates in each regional office to get that information, to give them the information they don't have, even though they are called the experts. They recognized that in actuality, we, with the lived experience and through necessity, are the experts. And at least for a time, short though it was apparently, we were advancing. And it's been now turned completely sideways, backward, and I think we're heading headlong back into the fucking Middle Ages, but once upon a time, you see where I'm going here. These schools only know about one form of program. It's ABA. Remember when I told you that there were some issues with positive behavioral reinforcement and that it shouldn't be used as cookie cutter on all of us? Because it's a form of ABA. Of course, it's not going to work on all of us. It's not that they were inadequate, folks. It was just that program was not going to work for that child. And these teachers do not have the time to be able to go and study and learn about the other programs out there. Nor do these schools get the fucking funds they need in order to be able to give the teachers the money and the time to do so. These teachers are overworked. They're exhausted. Their caseload is enormous. They do not get near the funds they need to be able to carry out their duties. Need I go on? That's just for the private schools. Don't even get me started on special education in public schools and how badly underfunded, overpopulated, overwhelmed, not well enough provided for the teachers are there. They went to JRC because they didn't know what else to do. They didn't know what other answers there were out there. It's not a defense, JRC. It's not a flex to use their ignorance as a means to defend yourselves. Please spare me the bullshit. So let's finish out here. What's he trying to show you? The worst case scenario, right? Got to victim blame us. Got to show us as completely batshit insane, and you should just hand us off to him because he knows what's best. It's a lie. He's trying to use an overworked, badly funded, and not nearly knowledgeable enough teacher. Not through their own fault at all. I'm not blaming them. And using that as a means in a way that they were the only other alternative that teacher knew of because they are not informed enough. They are not educated enough because there is no funds, no time, nor enough staff to be able to do so. Okay? It's not a real defense if you know what's actually going on behind it. That's why I want to give you context, because people like Matthew Israel, they're going to try to use it. If you don't understand the context of what these poor teachers are under and what they're up against and what they don't know because they don't have the time, the money, or the resources to know, then you'll just be lulled into it, as a lot of parents are. That's why I wanted to give you that background. All right. I'm going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. Do appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Before we go, we are going on Monday open chat as per usual, but he like to say hi now. So come here, Mr. Meow. Honey, say hi to the peoples. Say hi to the peoples. He's gonna go sit in his spot. Alright, as always, folks, I do appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good one. I will see you later. No, seriously, though, send me help, get me out of this state.